This is really the second big bid that the Biden administration, there was another tranche of about 4 million people that were already eligible for a student debt program. And basically, the education department just made it more efficient. So those people are going to get paid out, basically just paying them. If you're eligible, there's two different ways of doing it. There, you can say apply, go through this process and hope that the people who know that they're eligible know enough to apply. Or you can just give people student debt relief and they just suddenly get a letter saying you no longer owe that debt. That's what happened with that last tranche of about 4 million people. This one is different. This is an attempt to be more expansive. This is sort of plan B-ish or C-ish after the Supreme Court shot down in 2022 the attempt by the Biden administration to offer $10,000 per person, $20,000 if you had a Pell Grant under the auspices of the HERO Act. This one is under the National Education Act.
And this is what advocates were saying, the authority that he should probably use going into it. Now, would it have necessarily made a difference with the Supreme Court because they reached their conclusion based on the politics of the situation? Probably not. But this is maybe more durable, some student debt experts feel. Yeah, we'll see. That is an issue. Well, let's hear him say, and then we'll critique, because one of the critiques from activists is maybe instead of announcing it and announcing that you're about to announce it without the full details, just do it. And then let the Republicans gear up to try and sue. But it's an election year, so this is what Biden did at an event in Madison, Wisconsin.
Today, I'm proud to announce 5 major actions to continue to relieve student debt for more than 30 million Americans. First, my administration will propose a new rule to cancel up to $20,000 in runaway interest for any borrower who owes more now than when they started paying the loan. And for low and middle class families enrolled in my SAVE program, we'll cancel all of your interest, all of your interest. Second, we plan to cancel student debt for borrowers who still owe student loans, even though they started repaying them more than 2 decades ago. Third, we plan to cancel debt for about 2 million borrowers who would be eligible for debt forgiveness through the SAVE program, public service loan forgiveness, or other debt canceling programs, but are not enrolled in these programs. Fourth, we plan to cancel debt for borrowers who the Department of Education determines were cheated by universities that left students on unaffordable loans and delivered little in benefits to students. And finally, the Department of Education will propose a new rule to cancel student debt for Americans facing financial hardships. And over the coming months, the Department of Education will propose and then implement these plans. And starting this fall, we plan to deliver up to $20,000 in interest relief to over 20 million borrowers and full forgiveness for millions more.
He seems really energized about that. But nevertheless, the money is still good. Let's go back over what he was talking about. Just a reminder, there's 43 million people with student debt in this country. What is it now? 1.5 trillion?
1.7 trillion.
$1.7 trillion worth of student debt. And in many instances, the interest is actually greater than the principal. Again, this is student debt that the U.S. government holds. So we're making money off of higher education, essentially. The first one with the runaway interest, that's 25 million borrowers. 25 million more. The 25 million of the 43 owe more than they originally borrowed in federal student loans because of interest charges. And which was sort of astonishing. Right. They of those borrowers will get up to $20,000 of unpaid interest on their debt forgiven. So it's really just a function of how much of that interest is, and you'll be back stuck at the principal. That is regardless of your income. The low and middle income borrowers
could have the entire interest balance that is accrued on the federal debt loan since they entered repayment canceled. In other words, that there would actually be, you would get credit for interest that you would have already paid for on the loan. If you are in the saving on a valuable education plan, or the so-called SAVE plan, it would be automatic. You don't even have to apply. You'll just get it waived, and you'll get a letter in the mail that says that's what happened. And that is also for that program, the SAVE, or any other income-driven repayment plans that you have not applied for. On top of which, if you started repayment 20 years ago, if you've had your loan for 20 years, that would get, those would be forgiven.
That was more in keeping with some of the other initial kind of cancellations, which were not helpful for his lower numbers with young people, because
that was the original 4 million, the earlier one.
By definition, if you have to have been repaying your loans for 20 years or to be eligible, then that's always going to trend to older people.
Borrowers who enrolled in programs at colleges who lost federal funding because they cheated or defrauded students would have all their debts waived, but that is an existing program.
Yeah.
The Department of Education has been doing that for a while now. I think it started under the Obama administration, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know how that would, maybe they're loosening the standards for what constitutes that. If you are, and the last one is, if you're having a hardship in paying back your loans, maybe because of medical or childcare costs, it's unclear like exactly what the parameters would be for that. But you're talking about 30 million borrowers who will save some amount of money. And again, we don't know the full details on this, and it's got to go, they've got to write it up and put it into the Federal Register, and then there's got to be a comment, multiple month-long comment period. And there are some activists who are basically saying, like, maybe you just do it.
But this was also the problem with the initial cancellation too, right? Where he had an announcement that they were going to look into the authority for a few months, which allowed the Republicans to mount that legal challenge, which ended up being successful. People were saying, just announce it and then and do the cancellation, as opposed to giving the opportunity for, some of the.
Well, the problem is that there is the only thing that I'm not fully clear on in terms of this advice from activists is that it is on its face, if you do not allow for the comment period, on its face problematic, no matter what the rule is. And so, there were plenty of things I think in the Trump administration that could roll back because of it. Now, I don't know how you claw back that money, or maybe the court says, well, you've already done it and these people have relied on that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. But at the very least, like, you could start the process and make it quiet and hope that people don't notice, which it's conceivable for a while they wouldn't. So I don't know. We will follow this and talk to some activists about it after the fact. But and maybe they want to try and time this so that it comes out during the right before the election. A nice little bonus for people, maybe drive people out. But we'll see. As Caribbean Doc says, I welcome Genocide's Joe's attempt to buy my vote. In fact, this is good politics, and all politicians should be trying to buy our votes more frequently instead of trying to buy the votes of large corporations. I actually fully endorse that comment.
Yeah. I don't like the framing of, that's what basically the Republicans are saying about student debt relief, right? Where it's that you're trying to buy people's votes, aka give them material gains so that they feel like the Democratic Party actually represents their interests, as opposed to just, say a tax break for corporations. Are you trying to buy their vote?
Literally,
of course.
Trump literally just said, yeah, those tax cuts. I got you on those again.
Two billionaires.